and it's a beautiful day today, but it's very cold. Yesterday was 8 degrees. Today is like -5. So I don't know what's going on with this weather. But we're happy and we're blessed and we give God thanks. The power, we give him thanks for everything. That we're alive and well and we're healthy. So guys, today we're just gonna have another chat. As usual, we're back to doing our live. I think at this time, 3ish in the afternoon time, it's a good time to do live because I think most people are at home. It's like after, yeah. So it's a good time, I think, to do some live. So let's do some live. So today we're gonna talk about hair because I think we have to talk about topics that are important and we have to educate our people on certain things because especially the next generation of people that is coming, our children, their children and stuff like that, we need them to know stuff so they can pass it on and they can have a better life and they can make a richer generation of people. So we're going to talk about hair, and hair is such like an important topic for Black people, and I think we need to have some more conversations talking about hair because it's like our hair is like a fascination to people. All the time, it's like a fascination to people, all the time. And it doesn't matter how much you try to talk to them about your hair, it's always a topic of conversation. So let's just have a chat about our hair. So, our hair, Black hair, is very versatile. You can do a lot of things with Black hair. You can curl it, you can straighten it. You can just do so much styles and so much different patterns and stuff in your hair because our hair, we have different hair textures, right? But I find that like the coarser, thicker hair texture, you can do a lot more things with it. It will stay braided for a longer time and things like that. So our hair texture is very versatile and you can do many things with it. So maybe that's a good thing. I love my hair and I love the hair of my people. Of I love hair because I think hair is beautiful. But what I don't like about our hair when it comes to Black people's hair, it's just the negativity that comes with the hair. Uh, like people sometimes they think that it's okay just to touch your hair, and I just think that is so offensive because like everybody are out there, everybody have hair on their head except if you bald your hair, you cut it off. You know what I mean? And just the fact that you're gonna see somebody and just put your hands in their hair, I just find it so like it's like no boundary. Like you have no boundary, and all those things uh, go back from slavery, where you know other nations think that they can just do whatever they want with um, Black people's hair. Hello, welcome to the chat, chillin'. So I think it's just so offensive when somebody do that. They just put their hand in your hair or just touch your hair or something like that. So yeah, I know people are fascinated by our hair, but I think it is best to ask a question about your hair. Hi everyone. Ask a question about somebody's hair instead of you going to touch your hair. Now, I travel a lot. I go to many different places and I see many people have many different hairstyle or they're wearing, different things in their culture. But I never go up and to touch anybody's hair or do anything of that sort. It doesn't matter, you know. Hi, Mr. India. How are you? I'm from the Caribbean. I never do such things like that. I would just like ask them, whoa, oh, what is this headpiece? What does it signify? Or I would say, wow, nice style or something like that. But I think when it comes for Black people, other nations, they just come to just touch your hair, they just like run their hand in your hair. I just, oh my God. I think it's just like, I just think it's so I just think it's disrespectful. I think it's just disrespectful how people treat another person, especially a Black person, when it comes to hair. Like you have a big afro outside, somebody just come and touch your afro. Like people, like don't do that, because this is very disrespectful. If you see somebody has a big afro, go up to them and say nice afro, but don't put your hands in their hair. So this is just bad. Now all these things come from slavery, because in slavery black people were like human zoo. So they'll put you in this area, and then people just come and see you and touch you and do all kind of stuff. So it's like in this palm colored people who are doing that stuff, they think that okay, it's they can still do that today in our like in our 2025, you know. So it's just sad when you see that things happening. It's just very sad. So first of all, let's talk about like why as a people we should be careful when it comes to hair, and when it comes to what we say to each other when it comes to our hair. Now, a friend invite me to her home, and she said something which I thought was like, so like kind of inappropriate, but it's just like, this is your own black culture. Why would you say something like that? So she saw my hair, and she said, "Oh, I don't understand how you people keep all this hair on your head." And she just kind of went into this talk to me about me having hair on my head. And basically she doesn't have hair on her head because she just cuts off all her hair all the time. She just shave her head. Now that is fine if you want to shave your hair, but if you see another person with hair, I don't think that's proper, like to be negative about your own person who has beautiful long hair. So it's like within ourselves as a people, we have this stereotypes within ourselves, and because of slavery we carry these things from generation to generation with us, and we are hurting our own people. I heard another person tell somebody, "Oh, your hair is so rough and nappy and whatever." Like this is such a very negative statement to make to a person about their hair, because it's just hair. Why are you making such a negative statement about a hair? I think a black person's hair is beautiful. I think hair is beautiful. I think all hair is hair, you know? So it's just like, yeah, I think sometimes we need to be very careful when we, when we come across people, and how we deal with them, because like we're gonna have children, and we don't want to have our children perpetuating this kind of behavior from generation to generation, you know. And we also don't want to be like people who are bringing negative vibes onto our generation. So I think we have all different kinds of hair. We have curly hair, we have straight hair, we have semi curly hair. I think we need to accept all the different types of hair that we have, and just love all the hair that we have, because hair is hair. I want you to just love all the hair that we have, and be happy with for somebody else who have a different hair texture than you. And let's bring love and unity in our culture and enrich our culture, instead of being negative among ourselves when it comes to hair culture. You know what I mean? And I hear so much stories from fellow black people who tell me that, people comment about their hair. They said they make so much negative comments about their hair, and it really hurt them. I know a man told me, he says like his parents would cut his hair all the time, because they said, oh, his hair was like very hard to comb, and they just need to comb his hair. And he said every time they cut his hair, he would cry, because he loved his hair and he just wanted to have a nice afro in his head. But his own parents, they couldn't accept the hair that was on their son's head. So you see, it's like these things are deep. These things are deep down inside of us, because if you have a child and the child has hair, and you as the parents like can't accept the hair that is on the child's head, that just tells you how deep and like psychological like this thing goes, so deep. And sometimes we think like, oh, everything is okay, we're just walking around and everything is okay, but it's not okay. And I think sometimes when we hear our fellow brothers and sisters talk to us about stuff, we really need to take it into heart, and take into heart and think about those things and see, okay, how can we change that? How can we change that narrative? How we can change that behavior and make, and make it better. So going forward, in my strategy, when I see somebody, I see a young girl out there and she hair is braided nicely, or she have a fro or something like that, I just say, wow, beautiful fro. Or I said, wow, nice braids. How long did it take you to do the braids? Sometimes we just end up having a conversation, and we just talk about stuff. We start talking about hair grease, we start talking about DIY body butter. And this is how you're going to start conversations with people. I told a girl the other day when I was buying hot chocolate, and I said, oh my gosh, your hair is so like beautiful. And that just strike up a conversation. And then before you know it, you're talking to the person, oh, which country you from, da da da. And oh, my mom used to put coconut oil in my hair. They used to put the Dax grease in your hair. And you start talking to people, and like you learn information. Like somebody said, oh, I put shea butter in my hair, and I mix it up with all kind of different oils, and that is how my hair is long. And this is the kind of environment we need to be perpetuating amongst ourselves. Like if you see somebody and their hair, they're having a little bit of issue with their hair might be short, or you just share information by just giving them a compliment or just saying something beautiful about their hair. You can track up a conversation. The person may say, oh, I'm having some kind of hair loss or something like that, and you can help them out by saying, my hair is long like that because maybe I put coconut oil in my hair, or maybe I mix coconut oil with shea butter, or maybe I mix coconut oil with some herbs and I mix that up, and that's what I put in my hair. Maybe you can try that and give the person the recipe. So that is how we perpetuate love, and we make this beauty in our own culture, in when it comes to our hair. Because if we don't have pride within ourselves, who is going to have pride for us? Other people or other nations are not going to have pride for us. We need to have our own pride and our own nation and our own, among our own people. We need to bring pride within our own self. I know every time a Black person come along and talk about themselves, they say like, oh, you always saying like you the victim, you the this, you the that. Yes, we're not saying that to keep that victim mentality, but we want to rise above all this negativity that is in the media or that circulates among us, our own people. We get negativity from other nations, other people, but also there's negativity within our own nation, our own people. So we have to stop that. And when we tell ourselves beautiful things as a person, as an individual, we are elevating our mind, we're elevating ourselves. And when we pass that on, we are elevating all people, so that's what we need to do. Another thing I want to talk about is, like, we have to also understand that there's some people out there, they have their hair, they straighten their hair, they put chemical perms in their hair, and sometimes it's not good to just go off on somebody because they have a perm. Look, when I don't know, but maybe your hair is natural right now, but some people, their hair was not, they, as a child, the parents perm their hair because they say, oh, the hair is hard to comb, so let's just perm it. Now we know perming is not good for the hair because it damages the hair, right? But if you grew up as a child with your hair always being permed, and you were never told that your hair is beautiful, or you were never told that this is how your hair grow out of your head, and that's how you should keep it and not perm it, you don't have that understanding. So don't expect another person who have the understanding, who've been having their hair in locks or having the hair as it grows out of their head, and they were told the beauty of their hair and to accept themselves as it is. Like, this person has a better understanding of themselves, of who they are as a Black person, than somebody who, like I said, the mother permed there since they were 4 years old, and they was never told all these good things that the parent was supposed to tell them. So sometimes we have to be gentle with each other, not always be rough and always be like, ready to like gobble somebody up of your own people if they come across not nicely, or maybe you have natural hair and they don't have natural hair, like just be gentle. Explain to your own folks that, perm is not good for the hair. Perm was created for us to destroy our hair. Show them the history of our people and what happened to our people, and the history of the perm and the jerk curl and all kind of stuff. Now we have to set in ourselves a different mindset of educating people, instead of being so harsh and just like judgmental all of a sudden, without giving an explanation or bringing education and showing our own people things. So when I see a person who is talking about like, oh, why you have your hair like that, you girl, you need a perm, the first thing I say is like, well, perm is not good for our hair. Perm breaks off our hair. Now our hair being like in locks, like our hair, like my hair grows so long being in the lock compared to when my hair was not in lock. I mean, I always had long, thick hair, but compared to having the lock, is like my hair just, I don't know, it just grows. I think by the days it just grows like crazy. This hair just keep growing. I don't have to do anything to the lock hair. Nothing much. When I had my afro hair, just not locked, like I had to grease it and do all kind of stuff with it. But this hair, I don't have to do much. I just spray it, or sometimes for days I don't do anything to my hair, and it's not even breaking. It's just beautiful. So our hair is like a thing unto itself, like I said. And so when we have our natural hair, it's important to explain to a person, who doesn't know as much, or who doesn't know about their history, or have not been educated about their history. Let them know. I say, like, do you know about the perm? How did the perm come along? Who created the perm? Why the perm was created? You have to tell people, like, the perm was created to make your hair straight, so you can get into the work system, so you can mix up with the other people, the other nations, so you can get a job, because your curly hair was not accepted. Your type 1, type 2, type 3, they have hair types now. I don't really believe in this hair type of thing. It's just hair is hair, curly hair, whatever, straight hair, so whatever type of hair you had, it just wasn't accepted in society back then, so they had to come up with something to change your hair. You see what I mean? So we need to educate our people about that stuff. Like, this perming of the hair is something deep. It's not something just like, okay, yeah, I just go to the store and buy something to put on my head. Guys, it's something purposely that is deep. You had to change your hair so you can get a job. You have to change your hair so you can work and get money to feed your family. Like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, there's other nations out there. They have their hair. They go to work with their hair. They don't need to perm the hair. They don't need to do anything to the hair. Why do we have to do that to our hair? So you see, by you educating your child, you educating your friend, you educating your people, you letting them know that what they're doing, they think it's okay, or it's just like you see everybody doing it in society, but there's something behind of it. And if you know what's behind of it, you would not be doing it. So this is how we have to approach our people. When you see they're so like gung-ho about perming hair and making all these comments about you who does not perm your hair, that is the way to approach them and say, like I said before, approach them. Another thing is, when somebody come and tell you about your hair, oh, your hair is so tough, your hair is so, this and that and the other, whatever. Another way to educate people is to tell them, like, this hair was created by the Most High. The Most High gave you the hair that's on your head. So if you are going out there and talking about your own hair plus another person's hair, you are actually going against the Most High. And sometimes we really need to think deep about these things. Like, when you talk about your hair, you're telling me that the Most High didn't know what he was doing when you put that hair on top of your head? Like, sometimes we really need to think about the comments that we make. Now, there's a scripture in the Bible where the Israelites, after they come out in captivity, they wanted to get a king, because they said, oh, all the other nations, they have kings, and we don't have a king. And you know what God said to Abraham? He said, the Israelites, don't get mad, because they didn't offend you. They offend me. They offend me, because I am their God, and I am their God and their king and their everything. And just the fact that they want to be like the other nations and get a king, go ahead, give them a king. And when they get the king, they're going to suffer. Okay? And so God allowed Abraham to let them have their king. So they had their king. And what happened? Just as what the Most High said, that when they get the king is going to take their children, the king is going to take their land, the king is going to rule in unjustly over them. This is exactly what happened. So we need to be careful when we say certain things. Listen, God created all of us, right? He created all of us. All nations were created by the Most High. But the Most High have a favorite people, like we all know. Now, are you going to go against God because he has a favorite people? Are you going to go against God because he made your skin dark? Are you going to go against God because he made your skin lighter color? Are you going to go against God because he made your hair that texture? Like, we have to think very carefully when we talk about hair, because hair was created by the Most High. If you look at us, everybody looks different. We all have a different feature. Even twins, you can tell them apart because they have certain subtle, like identical twins. They have certain subtle features that you can tell them apart. We are different. We don't look the same. We all different. Are we not alike? And the hair on our head is the same thing. Now, in the scripture, it says that God says God knows every hair that's on your head, and he cares about the hair that's on top of your head too. So if you care about the hair that's on top of your head, when he was creating the hair, he made sure he put the right hair upon your head. So these are things that we have to tell our children. Tell our children about the hair that is on the head, and tell them that they should not be saying negative things about their hair. And if somebody says something negative to them about their hair, that they should have the right answer to say. Like, when you educate your child, when you educate your family, when you educate your people as a whole, then they can educate other people. But if we all just in this, like, I don't know, kumbaya stage, we just blow up, we get angry when somebody says something, we have no information, we don't know our history, we're carrying all this anger and all this hate deep inside of us, and we will never heal as a people. Because, listen, we went through a lot, mentally, physically, emotionally, as a people for 400 years. And these things are still happening to us. And it's like, this hair thing, sometimes I really get bothered by it, because I find like most of the times I just cover my hair because I don't want people to be always asking me some silly questions. And even when I cover my hair, people asking me, oh, why do you wear a headscarf? Is it part of your culture? It's like, it never stops and it never ends. But when you know who you are as a person, when you understand where you come from, then you still can get that peace within yourself. But if you don't know who you are as a person, you don't know who you are as a people, then you don't have that spiritual calmness that comes from the togetherness of us all knowing ourselves. Because you may just say, oh, this is just hair. No, it's not just about hair. It's deeper than hair. And us as a nation of people, we are connected by spirit. We are connected by the spirit of the Most High. And only through education, only through talking to each other, we can express ourselves in this manner and allow others to come in and understand. Because a lot of people didn't understand certain things. I was at my sister-in-law, and some people came over at the house. Actually, we was having like a little get together, actually, in a way. And this young man was there. We were just talking about the scriptures, and he was just so fascinated about the Bible. And I was like taken aback. So I was just standing there listening. And I think one of the ladies, she asked him, she says, oh, wow, you're so interested in the Bible. Have you never read the Bible? He says, no, I've never read the Bible. I don't know anything about that. Wow. Like, he said, he was so fascinated. He says, I never read the Bible. I don't know what the Bible say. I never go to church. And you'll be like, if you see that young man out there, he's like, he's a black man. And you'll be like, oh, he's a black man. He must have gone to church. He must have known the Bible. Blah, blah, blah. So you might be there telling him all kind of stuff. And like the guy said, like, I never read the Bible. Like, these things I'm hearing, it's like so interested that I really got to get the Bible and read it. He says, I see people around me go to church, but I never like paid attention, or that wasn't something that I really was interested in, and I never did it. And he's like he's almost 30, like almost, I think he was like almost 30, and he just didn't know anything about the Bible, nothing. But you see, it's like we have to be careful, like I said, because some people, they may be around you and they just, they don't know stuff. So we have to find a kind of gentler way to teach our people things, right? And we also have to set boundaries for ourselves. Set boundaries when we go out there for ourselves, because there are some people out there who have no boundaries, and they don't understand that somebody's body belongs to the person and it doesn't belong to them, and that somebody's hair belongs to the person and it doesn't belong to them. It's like you go in there and somebody's just resting their hand on you for no reason. Oh, that looks so nice, I just wanted to touch it. Well, you're not a zoo animal, so why are you doing that? Do I look like a zoo animal? Are we still in 1863? That kind of stuff. So yeah. And I just want to say to my people, like, it is difficult being a Black person, because every day you have to be on guard. Every single day you have to be on guard. You go to work, you comb your hair, somebody may say to you, oh, your hair is a little bit untidy. It's like, why is my hair untidy? That's how my hair is. Like, listen, I was come to do this video. And I'm cooking at the same time. I went upstairs and I brushed my hair, and in 30 minutes my hair looked all fuzzy, like if it was never brushed. I got up this morning, I groomed myself, I comb my hair, I put all in my hair, I grease my hair nicely. And if you look closely at my hair, you see looking all fuzzy, because that's the way my hair is. And that's the way God made my hair. There's nothing I can do about it. But you go to work and somebody say to you, oh, you look unkept. No, that is how my hair is. My daughter always asks me, she says, Mom, all the kids at school, they have their hair out and my hair is always braided. Not like I tell my daughter, my young daughter, about her hair, and I always compliment her, and she knows, where she come from and her hair and the history and everything about hair. But she says to me, like, everybody has their hair out and stuff like that. Is it okay sometime for me to just go with my hair out? And I have to gently tell her, baby, your hair is beautiful, it's lovely. But if I send you to school with your hair, they're gonna call me and ask me what happened to your hair, because it's never gonna be accepted in this place, And I have to tell her that gently. And I told her that, they're gonna say your hair need to be combed, and yeah, that's what they're gonna say. So she can't have her hair out. And it's saddening, because why can't she have her hair out? But that's the system that we're living in. And I told her the other day, I said, okay, don't worry, we'll be traveling soon to another country where there's a lot of Black people, most majority is Black people. And I said, you're gonna have your hair out, okay? And sometimes we Black people, we talk about ourselves, and people get offended and they get mad, but they don't really understand. They don't understand the things that we go through. Then they say that you're victim. You always acting like the victim. Yes, we are a victim. We are victims of these other people. We are victims. Every day of our lives, we are victims. And we have to pretend to be somebody that we're not. And those of us who said, no, we're not going to pretend who we're not, then we lose our jobs, or people don't like us. They treat us bad in a different way. But those of you who succumb, then you just like squeeze in your personality, you squeeze in yourself. And, that's why people, they have mental problems, because they can't be who they are, and those of us who are who we are, it's a battle for us every day when we leave our homes and we go out there. So it may seem like we sound like victims, but if the shoe was on the other foot, how would you feel? And I told my daughter that, and she clearly understands that. She clearly understands that her hair has to be braided, right? And so her hair will be braided or her hair will be plaited. When she's at home, she can have her hair out, wild and fuzzy, and her big, beautiful afro. But when she goes out there, it's not going to be accepted, and never going to be accepted. And these are the things that we have to tell our children. So when they go out, they're not going to be crying and saying, oh, this person made fun of my hair. Like, you know what I'm saying? And if you is a person who feel that, okay, I'm going to let my child go out there with her hair out, and if the school call me and they want to expel her, I'm going to homeschool her, You go ahead and do that. But many people are not going to do that. They're not going to do that. I homeschool my kids for a long time, because there were certain things that was happening, and I was like, no, I'm going to fight against it, and I am going to sacrifice for that reason. And not many people will do that. They will just comb their kid hair, and they will just say, honey, let's just brush your hair down, and let's not do that because these people here, they don't accept that and whatever. And that, not everybody's going to do that. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to hair, it's a big problem. It's a big, big problem, and we don't talk about stuff because we have gotten so used to, like, oh, let's stifle ourselves, let's not say anything, we have the car to pay for, we have our house to pay for, oh, so let's just keep quiet, let's just go along with those folks, and that's not right. And we have, like, us as a community, we have to talk up more among ourselves. We have to give each other strategies and say, sweetie, what are you doing on your end? Tell me your strategy, and pass on those strategies one to another. Pass on those strategies one to another. Tell your child, oh, well, they're gonna say XYZ about your hair. You say ZYP about your hair. You understand? We have to pass on this knowledge and this education to our own people, so we're ready when all these things come. We can't have our children going out there and feeling that they are less than other people. No, we have to make sure that our children, they feel great about themselves. They feel awesome about themselves, and they're happy to have that hair on top of their head. I had to go to school when my third son was younger, because the principal was asking, like, how should she call the hair on his head? He has locks, and the kids are making fun of his locks, and she was asking me, how should I call the locks? I'm saying, excuse me, what do you mean how you should call the locks? The locks is just hair. That's his hair. That's how it is. And then she's making all this excuse, he's the only, black kid here, and those other palm colored kids, they never seen hair like this, and blah blah blah. Like, there is so much excuses out there for black people's hair. I don't know why it's such it's such a big deal. Like, it's just the hair that the Most High put on our head, that grows out of our head. I don't know why it's such a problem. Why can't you just see us and leave us alone with our hair on top of our head? And these kind of things will get a person mad. It will get a person upset. Can you imagine? Like, you're going out there with your hair that grows out of your head, and somebody has a problem with you because of that? You're going out there because you were born with this skin color. Somebody has a problem with that. You can't do anything about it because that's the way you were born. That's the way the Most High made you. So it's very, very frustrating. And for you to do something else with yourself, which is going to make you uncomfortable, it's so not right. It's like, you have your hair, now you got to perm your hair. You know what perm does to your hair? It bonds your scalp, your hair come out. You have to be spending money every time putting a perm in your hair. Why? When you have a hair on your head that you don't need to do all that stuff with it. You don't need to spend all this money to buy perm. You don't need to worry about your hair falling out. Like, it's the same thing like in slavery. Like, they were beaten and the name was changed. You had a name, say your name was Jenna. Then they beat you and say your name is not Jenna anymore. No, you have to be called, I don't know, some kind of foreign name, Mary or Jenica or something. They change your name to, and this is your name, dude. That's your name that you were given. And now you have to change who you are as a person. Maybe your name mean victory. Maybe your name mean son of some beautiful thing that your parents gave you to give you honor, to make you rise up to be a glorious person. Because back then people give children names that mean something. So when you call, say if your name mean victory, right? So say for example, Amani, the name Amani mean victory. So every time somebody say Amani, it means victory. So your parents give you this name Amani, and then the slave masters, they beat you and say, no, you are no longer going to be called victory. You're going to be called some kind of Jenica, which mean, I don't know, it mean like dirt or something. So every time they call you dirt. You know what I'm saying? It's like we as a people, man, we go through so much stuff. But like I said, the only way that's gonna change us, and the only thing that's gonna change our generation, and it's gonna stop affecting our generation, is when we among ourselves educate ourselves and tell our people how to deal with stuff and to tell them the history. But I just wanted to read something for you guys about hair, and how important hair was for us, and how with the things that we used to do um with our hair, okay, and the laws they made to, just make us feel bad about our hair. So head wraps haven't always been a fashion statement or a way to hide a bad hair day. So this is an article, okay, about it's an article about slavery. So during the 18th and 19th century in America, it was quite the opposite. These these were the years of the American Revolution in 1975 to in 1775 to 1783, when the status of slaves were institutionalized as a racial caste. It was given to Africans, but also to all other people with African ancestries, right? These were the years where head wrap became a sign of poverty and deprivation. But at the same time, from a different point of view, head wrap started to become a sign of empowerment and self-distinction, right? So in 1775, there was a law passed saying that black women had to cover their hair. They could not have their hair exposed, right? They had to wear a head covering, okay? Because that was a law passed by the slave master, the people who were in power. And if you didn't wear it, you were going to be punished, you were going to be charged a fine, and sometimes they beat you until they kill you because you didn't follow that rule, right? So, but our people, what we did, we made it into something beautiful. And we created all this beautiful head covering, to cover our head in different ways, and to make it like a fashion statement, and it became a beautiful thing. So originally the head wrap or turban was worn by both enslaved men and women. Okay, so it was both enslaved men and women. The men started wearing it also. However, it became almost exclusively a female accessory. So we, the females, took it over, um, almost exclusively to female accessory. For their white European masters, the slave's head wrap was a sign of poverty and subordination. So they made it, the slave's master made it in a way that when you're wearing a head covering, uh, it makes you poor, and you know, to submit yourself to them. So they made it into a bad thing, but we made it into a good thing, right? um the slaves head wraps were signs of poverty and subordination. Accounts of clothing distribution to so that masters sometimes allotted extra handkerchiefs to their female slaves, or ostensibly to be used as head covering. So even the slave masters, they made sure that they gave the slaves pieces of cloth to cover their head. In fact, in a certain areas of south in the South, legislations appeared that required black women to wear their hair bound up in that manner. Okay, so their head had to be covered, tied with a cloth or a big handkerchief. The head wrap, however, was more than a badge of enslavement imposed on female slaves by their owners. Okay, establishment of the head and hair was a central component of dress in various parts of Africa. So you know that we originally from Africa, our ancestors are from Africa. So when we were in Africa before we were taken into slavery, hair was an important thing to us. We would sit on the trees and braid our hair in different styles. Hair was a form of status. Hair was a sign of for class. The hair made like a class system. Who had more beautiful longer hair, hair was also a sign of fertility for a woman. So hair donated a lot of things for us and mean a lot of things. Hair also mean for us was like a way of like grooming oneself, and showing pride in their dress. So you put in a beautiful dress, and then you would braid your hair in all the different styles. And if you look online, you would see all the different creations of hairstyles way back then in Africa before we came into slavery. The different styles that African women had on they did to their hair. Okay, let's go back to the head wrap, however, was more than a badge of enslavement imposed on female slaves by their owners. So the owners of the slave imposed that upon the slaves. From the time European fabric were made available to them, African women wore head wraps similar to those worn by the enslaved counterparts in America. So it's just telling you, before we were enslaved, we were slaves, we were also wearing these beautiful African fabrics on our head. You know, for these women, the head wrap, which varied in forms from region to region, signified communal identity. So the head wrap to us before it was in slavery mean to identify us. So, oh, for those people from this tribe, they wrap their head like that, and they wrap their head on top. The people from another tribe, they wrap their hair like this, you know. And the hair wasn't like all the time completely wrapped, but it was, you know, wrapped on the side with bows. It was very, very beautiful, very creative thing. But in slavery, the entire head had to be covered. Not a single hair was supposed to be showing. But before we were in slavery, we had different styles how we wrap our hair, based on the tribe that we came from, you know, tribe of Judah, tribe of Benjamin, whichever tribe, we wrapped our hair based on that. So we say, oh, this person's a tribe of Asher, or you're in this tribe from Manasseh, you know what I'm saying? So the way they wrap their head and the colors and stuff like that, right? So in America, the head wrap was a utilitarian item, which keeps the slave hair protected from the elements in which she worked and helped to curb the spread of lice. So now in the slave times, it was a good thing to have the head covering, because the enslaved women, they didn't catch head lice and their hair didn't get dirty, you know. And so it by keeping our hair covered and protected, we know it makes our hair grow much more, right? So that was a plus for us, you know. Oh my goodness. In which keep the slave hair, but yeah, so the hair was protected. Yet as in Africa, the head wrap also created community. So you say, so this article goes back and forth from slavery to before slavery and in slavery. But before slavery, they're saying that the head wrap created a community. So women would come together and they would, you know, wrap the hair, do the hair and stuff like that, as an item shared by female slaves and individual, as a thing unique to the wearer. So even when they were in slavery and they had to get their head covered, they were covering their head, they also built community among themselves just by having that head wrap also. You know, so they would still comb their hair underneath the head wrap, and they would wrap their hair in different styles, you know, even if they were also in slavery. So that also brings community among them, even if it was meant to be an oppressive thing by the slave masters. So you see, our people are very strong, resilient people, and sometimes things are meant to be for bad, but they turn it around to be, you know, amazing and fabulous. And now when we look in 2025 now, and you know, it's years now, we see there's so much different fabric that you can wrap your hair with. And every time you wrap your hair, you would remember that your ancestors had to wrap their hair in slavery, or they were severely punished. Or you can, and you're also going to remember that your ancestors were also wrapping their hair when they was in slavery, but it was a positive, when they were not in slavery, but it was for a positive thing. It was for community. It was bringing sisterhood among them. You know, it was for, you know, differentiation of tribes and, you know, different things and different status. So it was a very positive thing, and then the slave masters turn it into a very negative thing, but they turn it, our people turn it into a positive thing, even while they were in slavery. So these are the narratives that we need to spread. These are the narratives that we need to tell our own people among our own selves, so they would know, you know, and they would, you know, think on those thoughts. Like the scripture said, God said that he went up and he's not going to talk to us anymore because we are not following his law, statutes, and commandment. But when we bethink ourselves, bethink mean we're pondering, we're thinking, what have I done wrong? Let me repent, let me change my ways. And he says, and you come to me and ask for repentance, then I will commune with you, right? So we have to give the knowledge and then allow our people to think and process that knowledge. And then they're going to change their behavior and their ways and the way they look at themselves, the way they look at their hair, the way they look at the Father who created them. It was going to be different. And then they're going to have like a whole 100-degree change in their attitude and their mindset. And then that's what's going to bring change as the generation goes on, because we cannot allow this trauma to continue on in our generation. We have to heal that trauma of slavery and all the things that it has bought, and those things are deep down spiritually inside of us. We have to find ways to get rid of it. And I think the hair is a simple thing. We can start with the hair and then we can move on to other parts, like the color of your skin, the way you think. We need to talk about what happened before slavery, because we were not always enslaved. We were free people, like ordinary people. We were royal people. We had homes and lands and animals and money and all that kind of stuff. So as we educate ourselves, we will do better. So all of you who come to the live, thank you very much. Read the room, Grace, and everybody else who is in the live. Thank you very much for coming, live. And all those who are coming to the live and posting nonsense. Mr. India, thank you for being here. I will not mention you because I already say in my live, don't come in the live and post foolishness. And then I will not mention your name. So everybody else, I'm not going to mention your name because you don't deserve to be mentioned. Because you know the live. The live is a place of learning, a place where we talk about educational stuff. We give our ideas and we share knowledge and we encourage people. And so if you're not a person who is going to come here to encourage people, we're not going to acknowledge you on the live or even say hi to you. But thank you very much for giving us the watch time. That's what we're going to say. We appreciate the watch time. Okay. So everybody else in the live, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. And I will see you next time.